So let me give you some broad framework on what India at 75 could be. You have to have universal literacy and world-class people, either professionally, they can be employed anywhere in the world, either here or abroad. And why is it so interesting? Because we have a huge demographic advantage, which is underexploited. And most of the developed countries have a huge demographic disadvantage. If you look at all of Europe, it's aging, Japan is aging, China will age, but certainly the United States is partly aging and partly doesn't have the skills. So if we can do this, we create India inside worldwide. That's good for India, it's good as a contribution to the world. The second, I went back and said, if in early 1800s, India represented 20% of world trade, why can't we get 10% of world trade? Why can't we create large companies which are part of Fortune 100 worldwide? Why can't we create fundamental innovations? Because if we want to educate a large number of people, if we want to provide them basic necessities, we have to innovate. I say affordability, accessibility, access, and awareness requires a different way to skin this cat than what we have done for the last 50 years or 60 years. And more importantly, and I think this was important, technological strength, economic vitality are critical, but if you want to lead, you must have moral leadership. Nazi Germany did not succeed. The Soviet Union did not succeed. So it's not enough if you have technological and economic vitality. We must show that India has moral leadership. And moral leadership assumes a prerequisite in India, which is understanding and leveraging diversity to its fullest. We have the extraordinary opportunity to show the world how we can live with people who are different, whether it's religion, language, economic strength. How can we work together? How can we leverage each other rather than just tolerate each other? And if you look at around the world, most of the conflicts are ethnic conflicts and religious conflicts. And we have had a history of understanding and coping with it. So let us put a turbocharge behind it and create a country that becomes the benchmark country for the rest of the world on how we can live in peace. That is the broad possibility that we have. Now, there must be some principles which allow us to do this. A lot of times when I say we need to get 10 Nobel Prize winners at a minimum, people say it is impossible. I said, let's go back to a recent past. In 1920s, this country had the good fortune of having Sir C.V. Raman, Chandrasekhar, Ramanujam, Meghnad Saha, Bose, phenomenal people. We had great poets and artists, Nandalal Bose to Rabindranath Tagore, and extraordinarily dream team of politicians. No country had that kind of dream team, starting from Gandhiji himself. We are only 300 million people at the time. We were excel in science, in arts, in literature, and in statesmanship. Now we can ask a question, how come 1.2 billion people cannot recreate this? So it is not deep past, it is recent past. So we need to ask that question. To start this journey, I want you to accept three principles. First, we will make a dramatic change only if our aspirations are higher than our resources. If you look at all entrepreneurial talent, innovation worldwide, it starts with somebody having an aspiration beyond the resources that they have. That was also the story of Purna Swaraj. That's why Gandhiji was able to invent Salt Satyagraha, which is an extraordinary piece of strategy and political will that allowed us to move forward. So the first principle is aspiration greater than resources. So we either change the game or leverage the resources or do both. The second, don't start from where you are. Good thinking on the future is folding the future in. Let us imagine this India and ask the question, what do we have to do today in order to see that future happen, rather than what is it that we can do given the way we are organized? And I say, if you have to break some eggs to make an omelet, so be it. But at least let us imagine what that future is. And the third, India cannot keep benchmarking others. Nobody in human history has tried this. So we have to have the confidence to say, we will create the next practice, not benchmark others for best practice. That, I think, is a very critical piece. We have to experiment, we have to learn, we have to lead. We cannot follow somebody else. Looking at Singapore is a sort of a nice thing, but we have a different problem, and we have to understand how we do it differently. So 3 principles, 5 or 6 big opportunities, and then you say, what stops us from getting there? I believe there are 4 fundamental concerns that I have as one interested. One, I think we are paying too little attention to income inequalities, but income inequality is only a reflection of opportunity inequalities and inequalities in mobility for people. So I think we ought to spend as much time thinking about upward mobility and opportunity equality rather than just describe income inequality, which is a result. I believe 10 years from now, if we don't pay attention to this, and I think we call it inclusive growth, but inclusive growth must start from deep understanding and a deep concern for creating equal opportunities and equal opportunity for mobility. Income is a result of this. The second, I think, we have talked about it a lot. I did a simple analysis of looking at GDP, Human Development Index, and Corruption Index. This information is available to any of you from United Nations books and Transparency International. It doesn't have to be my work. You can go and do the regression yourself. It is quite simple. 3 things come out very clearly. No country which does not pay attention to its human resources are rich. No country which is corrupt develops its human resources. And no country that is corrupt is rich. It is 170 countries, result from 170 countries. So we have to ask the question, is corruption a matter of morality, or is corruption a matter of fundamental impediment to economic development for all people? I don't think we are resource constrained at all. And the question is, are the resources deployed appropriately? So the second issue is the quality of governance. You can call it whatever you want. I think I prefer to call a spade a spade. It is the level of corruption. And I think that's important for us to understand. It is not anymore a complaint about individuals and the system. It is a complaint about how much we leave on the table. So if we got to be reasonably honest in our public governance, we may increase our GDP by an order of magnitude between 10 and $15 trillion in purchasing power parity. That is what the price we are paying for the system. The third is we might have pushed too hard on group rights and forgotten the need for individual rights. Group rights, if you push beyond a certain level, you will create the divisive forces of society rather than the unifying forces of society. So we need to ask the question, how do we create a meritocracy? Equal opportunity means individual rights are more important than group rights. I'm not saying group rights are not important. I'm saying maybe there is a time for some rebalancing. And finally, whether it's a public sector or NGO or a private sector, it does not make any difference to me. We better understand the true economic costs of what we are doing. That means transparent transactions, where the real economic implications of what we do are clearly understood.